I don't want you to make a big mistake buying real estate on Hilton Head or in the surrounding areas. What in the world is going on with real estate in the South Carolina Lowcountry? Let's take a look at my analysis and you can come to your own conclusion. We had historically low rates in 2020 to 2021. This, coupled with low home prices, caused a run in the real estate market, or did it? What I'd like to say is that buyers were going to buy anyway. They just took advantage of the market conditions. COVID hit Beaufort County just like it did everywhere else. We had new home prices that soared. Labor costs, if you can get labor, if you can get qualified labor to do the work. Material prices were through the roof. My brother's a commercial electrician. I remember him saying that, when he would bid a job, that was only good for 30 days, go up too much so he wouldn't lose money. And of course, supply chain issues where it was taking forever to get products, or sometimes you couldn't even get them. Windows, I want to say, were at least 18 months out at one point. So it was just a tough time. Note, I'm not an economist, so I'm not going to get real sophisticated, but hopefully I'll bring home my points will make sense to you and you'll come to the same conclusion that I have. The pandemic accelerated demand. This chart illustrates how much prices have gone up per square foot going back the last 10 years, and this data came out of the Hilton Head MLS. I also have another chart which shows the value of Hilton Head real estate according to Zillow, and that goes back to 2000, and you see a similar trend. Looking at 2020 to 2021, the market was in a frenzy. Retirees were flocking to lower tax Sunbelt states, and everyone was taking advantage of the market conditions. This drove inventory to an all-time low. See the cumulative days on market according to the Hilton Head MLS over the past 10 years. They dropped dramatically. Properties were selling so quickly, buyers were doing whatever they had to do to secure their home. People were going to buy either way. They just took advantage of the low rates because it was a no-brainer. Additionally, we're running out of dirt in Beaufort County. So most of the new construction is going to come from Jasper County, Hardyville, and some up in Ridgeland too. What is that going to mean to you? A little bit higher taxes, a different school district, and a little bit more of a drive to the beach. I always talk about the taxes, so let's talk about that again real quick. If you're in Beaufort County, the taxes are going to be about 0.5% of the purchase price as a primary. Anything else, it's going to be a little north of 1.5%. If you're in Jasper County, taxes are going to be about 1% of the purchase price as a primary, and anything else, 2.5% of the purchase price. So calculate that, and you're talking about $12,500 in taxes a year. Now that's not quite New York City taxes yet, but it's climbing quickly, and you're thinking, I'm trying to get away from taxes, so I can see how you might not like that. So just keep that in mind if you're planning on keeping it if you're looking for a second home. As far as the drive to the beach, it's going to be at least another 10 minutes, and it could be as much as another 30 minutes depending on where you are in Jasper County. So it's not a crazy long drive, but it is more, and it's something you need to know. Schools, definitely a different school district. You should look up the information on that, and there are some private school options too. By the way, I'm Carl Kratz, a local broker and realtor in the South Carolina Lowcountry, here to answer all your questions. Hopefully I'm covering them now, but whether I'm doing that here or I haven't, reach out to me. I'm happy to help. One thing you might not have known is the South Carolina Riverport is going to be operational in 2035. You're probably thinking, well, that's a long way away. Well, I don't know about you, but time seems to fly, and it'll get here sooner than we think. And a little bit of background on that, the Georgia Port Authority has had record years forever. I used to be a vendor for them, and they keep expanding their ports, and they're running out of room to grow. And about the time they're finishing up, South Carolina is going to come online. Their port is actually a little bit closer to the ocean, off the Savannah River, and it's going to mean $1 billion plus regionally to the area. as far as additional revenue. So it's a big deal. So let's talk about what I think is going to happen over the next year. While I've seen the market slow down due to the Fed's push to increase mortgage rates to cool off inflation, I don't see a lot of craziness happening. And let's kind of go into a little bit more detail, because what I've seen happen already are some price corrections locally that are sellers that weren't realistic. They were trying to hook a whale. Let's say someone from California with more dollars than cents, someone from New York, wherever, that had a boatload of cash and just was going to do whatever it took to get the house. Now what I would say is that if it hasn't happened by now, it ain't going to happen. So these people are either adjusting their price or they're getting out of the market. Now you're still probably thinking, well, it doesn't quite make sense with interest rates going up, why prices won't go down. Well, so let me elaborate. Supply and demand affect prices, not mortgage rates. Mortgage rates affect a buyer's ability to purchase, their purchasing power. It doesn't change their desire to buy property. It's just going to give them an avenue whether they can do it or not. Again, superficially, it makes sense that higher interest rates mean prices are going to come down. But what happened historically? I was shocked. Looking at the S&P Shiller Case U.S. Price Index from 1980 to 2010, at best, there's a loose relationship between home prices and interest rates. So it's interest rates go down, home prices go up. Interest rates stay the same, home prices go up. Interest rates go up, home prices go up. So there's just not a correlation like you would think. That being said, there are going to be buyers that are going to be priced out of markets. And Hilton Head is no exception, or Bluffton, or anywhere in the Lowcountry for that matter. So if you're getting something out of this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you want more of my content. I'd love to get both positive and negative comments are great. I want to get all your feedback. I've been living in the South Carolina Lowcountry for a long time now, so I may have forgotten some things about living up north or wherever, east, different parts of the country, and I want to make sure that you get the best information you can so you can make an informed decision. Now, let's look at new home completions. We have not kept up with demand for years, and if you look at the number of homes we currently have, we're at about half the supply that we had back in 2007. Again, limited inventory means higher prices, supply and demand. And this is something that is going to take the U.S. a while to fix. So if your heart is set on living close to the beach, it's going to cost you a little more. And depending on when you were looking at homes, maybe a lot more. Now, if you'd like more videos on local information, Hilton Head, Bluffton, Beaufort, check out this playlist, and there's some good stuff there. Now, we do have a publicly traded company here buying up properties, fixing them up, and renting them out and jacking up rents. I don't know, they've been here a while, maybe 10 years. And for anyone that has seen the 60 Minutes piece on those companies, I think it's something you should check out. It's eye-opening, and they're talking about Canadian publicly traded companies and U.S. publicly traded companies, but they're changing the landscape of home purchasing and renting. Now, one thing that's a little different about the company that's here, they're buying most of their properties at auction. Typically, when investors are buying properties at auction, they would flip them, get them fixed up and sell them. Well, that's not happening now. So again, less inventory for buyers to purchase. Now, there still are some investors around here or purchasers that are going in with cash, and as of a little while ago, they were going in cash with no or very few contingencies to get deals. But those are typically not what you call, they wouldn't be like institutional investors. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine who used to list a lot of foreclosures, and he was talking to an asset manager that he had a relationship with. And my understanding was that particular bank was hanging on to properties that were foreclosed and renting them out. So what that tells me is the bank thinks that prices are going to go up. And I think banks know how to make more money more than a lot. Banks and insurance companies, I think, are the two that They just know how to make money. That's something I think you should think about. Just to mention it too, I think a lot of people think that foreclosures are really good deals, and they may or they may not be. You have to look at each foreclosure on its own merit, and I would say typically they're not. And what used to be that the bank just wanted to get the money back that they lost when they foreclosed. Now they have these investors that are looking to get more of a return, so they're not selling those properties so cheap. So you just have to be really careful, and I've represented a lot of buyers with foreclosures over the years, so you just have to understand what you're getting and what needs to be done or not done. Plus, some foreclosures aren't created equally. For example, Fannie Mae homes have conflicting dual goals of providing affordable housing and maintaining home values. Well, how do you do both? You can't. So anyway, we've talked a lot about the supply and how slim it is. Now let's talk about demand. In 2030, there will be 73 million baby boomers over the age of 70. Roughly 37% of retirees are planning to move to South Carolina. If you start looking at the numbers, you're talking at least 15 million. Fortunately, they're not all planning to move to the Lowcountry because I don't think we'd have room for everybody. But there are a lot of people that want to move, and not just to South Carolina, to the Sunbelt states. And, like I said, they want to get away from high tax areas, probably cold weather too. Next is not really a factor directly, but millennials. Millennials are getting ready to buy now, and there are about 5 million looking to buy homes. Now, around here, it's not really that significant of an impact, but where it might be is where you're coming from. And that's definitely going to make a difference whether you're going to be able to move. Now, I have heard the mention of deflation versus inflation. I don't see it. And just to put it in perspective, we haven't seen deflation since the Great Depression. I just think there's way too much demand for that to happen, where goods and services are going to go down in value. As far as value is concerned, I think the fundamental important issue is when you're getting ready to move here, can you sell your house for a number that works for you? Meaning that you can sell it and be able to move here and get what you want. What I would say is probably yes, but it's not going to be like before where you're going to sell your house and you're going to pocket a lot of extra cash. The market's changed, and it's not the case. You do have some metrics too, although unfortunately they don't help as much if you're downsizing. But the odds are, if prices are going down where you are, they're going down here, or they're not going as much here, etc. Another thing to think about, if you're going to have trouble selling your house, that might give you a good indication whether you should pull the trigger or not. Now, I'm sticking my neck out here, so I've stuck my neck out, and I'm going to continue to do that based on what I've told you already. And let's talk a little more that if we compare numbers per square foot for sold properties, January was the lowest number this year, and as of last month the prices dropped 1.85%. So not a lot. But what I will say, over the previous month, so we're going back to June, prices dropped 9.5%. And that gets back to what I was talking about before. I believe those are the people that had unrealistic expectations about what their house was worth. Nobody was biting, and maybe they decided they really want to sell, so they're lowering their prices to see if they can move their home. And I can tell you stories where people wanted insane numbers for their houses. And I just thought, wow. So now my prediction over the next year is that prices are going to go up between 2 and 5%, somewhere in that ballpark. Time will tell if I'm right. And what I see that is a normalization of the market. Everybody thinks the sky is falling and everything's going to take a turn that I don't believe is going to happen. And if anybody knows me, I would never just say something just to say it. This is honestly what I think. I'm not trying to make a buck. I'm just trying to provide information based on fact that's going to help you make an informed decision. And I'm sure there are plenty of people that are smarter than I am that can come up with a better analysis. And, maybe they're going to see something that I don't. What I will say is I'm going to say the same thing that I tell everybody, whether they're buying a house or selling and then buying, for that matter. Are your fundamentals sound? Do you have the money to do what you want to do? Are you doing something with a long-term thought process, not like a flip and cash out with a bunch of money. It's just too risky right now. And whether it's me or anyone else, I don't believe you can truly predict the market. But I think I've made a compelling case that prices are going to continue to go up. We'll see. Thank you for watching my video. Hey, let me know when you're going to be in town. I'd love to get together and chat, and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.